Computer. Well, hey, so there you go. Facebook Live doesn't want to do its little work again, but that's none the matter. So I'd like to welcome everybody to an absolutely awesome woman. I mean, look how young she looks. Wait till you find out how many kids that she has. Yeah. So this is Sabrina, and I've met Sabrina now through working with Douglas on How Thoughts Become Things, and it's just been such a privilege to be part of the movie and part of the the cast, and also to be part of your yourself and your children's lives as well. So welcome, Sabrina.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It's been a blast actually talking to you, so thank you.
Yeah. And so I was just I'm going to mention her children, and you're all going to go, oh, no way, because that's exactly what I did. So she's got a 19-year-old, Lashai. Then she's got a 15-year-old, Trey. Then a 12-year-old, Yasmine. Then an 11-year-old, Paolo. Then a 6-year-old, Amire. Like, seriously, that's wonderful. And they're all little stars in their own right. So first of all, Sabrina, it's so lovely to meet you. So tell me a little bit about you. And then before we even get on to your kids, tell me a little bit about you. And then how did you get involved in How Thoughts Become Things?
Oh, amazing. Excellent question. So we met Douglas via Sammy Blindell. So Sammy,
I know Sammy.
Yeah. So there was an event taking place here in the UK, and Sammy was there. And Trayshawn and Lashai are part of Sammy Blindell's marketing team. So they were like doing social media. So she invited them down. So they were there, and I came to pick them up with the other three. So I was in the hallway with my three little ones, and then this guy came out. He was like, dinner. And we were like, my kids were like, yeah, like thought it was part of the entertainment. I'm like, who's this guy? And obviously, Douglas, how he is. So he was playing around with the kids. And I was just like marveled by this guy's character, the ability to just go down to the kids' levels and play with them. And he was just really friendly. I didn't know who he was. We just said hello. And I was like, oh, okay. And then he went back in, and after they finished, they actually told me who he was, what he was doing, and how much of an amazing time they had. And then they formally introduced us, and Paolo took to him instantly. They've just been inseparable since they've met. And then we met Marie Diamond because it was an event that she was speaking at. So we met the two of them then, and we've just stayed in touch.
Oh, absolutely awesome. So it's just like, so you've all got your own podcasts. And so, Lashai is self-expansion. Tell me a little bit about that one.
So the podcast or about Lashai?
Yeah, both.
So Lashai is my intuitive mentor. So she's been my mentor since the age of 11. She came into my life 2000, and she turned everything around for me. She's the one that helped me to redefine who I was. She's the one that made me realize that children don't have to be spoken at, they can be spoken to, and they can contribute. She's the one that would say, Mum, don't go too quickly, slow down, don't trust everybody, slow down. Everything was slow down. And she's a very intuitive soul, and her passion is videography and photography, and she's taken that from a hobby into the likes of work. So her passion around learning like Korean. So she taught herself Korean in her bedroom. She created a YouTube channel, Korean Focus, that then led her to work with the Korean Culture Center. She actually did their videography and photography, still does that till now. And she met the Korean ambassador. So every time they produce an annual, she gets acknowledged for her work. So she taught me the organics of life, like how we can fall in love with something and just allow it to naturally change into something else. And she was the one that wanted the wild card. She wanted to come out of school at 14. I'm going, darling, you young lady, you've got to stay there. And she said, Mum, will you take me to these personal development events on the weekend? And I learned more there in 2 days than I do in a week, like in years at school. Why am I there? And I was like, I'll come back to you. I'm not quite sure. So it was a challenge, and she came out of school early. She did 1 year of A-levels, but just before that, she had serious health issues. Well, we thought it was health issues, but basically because she was kept in the school institution, she knew she was expansive. She knew she can create anything. She knew she was abundant. She was surrounded by people that are in the movie, like watching their stuff online. Bob Proctor, Marie Diamond, she grew up on all of this. So she was like, Mum, you've taught me all these things. Why can't I implement it? And I was like, I'm not sure. Like, I don't know. She terrified me. So cut a long story short, she was being examined by the doctors. They couldn't find anything medically wrong with her. So we realized that it was that the resistance to being in school was actually making her sick. So parents,
Wow.
please be careful with your children. So we had a conversation, and I said to her, I trust you with your life. Who am I to tell you what to do? And then she left school after 1 year of A levels, and funny enough, the Sod's Law story, she came out, and being out after a couple of years, she established herself. She was like done some miraculous things that really wow me, not because I'm a mum, just because I'm an observer. And she got a scholarship from a university. So mum's like, wow, you got a full scholarship. She was like, mum, hold on a minute. I'll go back and do that when it's time for me, but right now I want to be free. And that's been our journey.
Wow. Oh my God, that is such a beautiful, beautiful journey. Wow. I mean, the thing that my daughter taught me, so she's 21, and was taught me that I am a girl. Because whenever was brought up with two boys, and it was just like, you know, it wasn't good to be a girl. It was like, well, don't be such a girl. So it was like a bad thing to be a girl, and I didn't wear pink or anything like that. And whenever I had Shannon, I finally realized that I was a female. And how funny is that? How our children teach us things. It's so funny.
You have literally reminded me of something that I forgot. So when Lashai was born, so I was a tomboy. I'm an only child. I was a tomboy, and there's pictures of Lashai in this jean suit, a cap, blue jean suit, and she was always dressed up like a boy. And as she got older, I tried to buy her like action men. I lost the plot. And I got all these action men and things. And I remember her saying, I would like Barbies, I would like pink, I would like purple. So in essence, you reminded me, my daughter did teaching me to tone down my masculinity and really realize that she's a girl, she's not a boy. She's not interested in any of that stuff.
It's just so wonderful how she showed you. So is that where then the rest of the family follow suit? So
Absolutely. So Shay's story is a bit dark because she did go through a lot of bullying, a lot of pain, but by her finding out who she was, it literally inspired her siblings to follow.
Yeah. And so Trey Sean, you know, he's doing mindset. So, because what I'll do is I'll put these the podcasts so people can see them. I'll put them under so people can check them out. So but yeah, so where does mindset come from him? I mean, what's his story?
So Shay's very creative, I'm very creative. And what I realized when you become a mum is like, oh my God, they're all different. I've got to learn. Yeah. So what works with one didn't work. So Tracian was very quick to teach me the ability of the mind. So he taught me how quick children can learn, providing you teach them the tools. I didn't teach them how to read. I didn't teach them. I taught them how to observe, how to retain, how to learn, and what the processes are learning. So we watched a lot of Bob Proctor videos and so many different teachings. So he got to 4, started reading books, and I was like, oh my God, I'm freaked out. He loved mathematical equations. He would do all these things that really freaked me out. So I was like, who is this kid? Because he's not mine. Like, he's super intelligent. Where did he come from? So he's always been about mathematics, and you know, he wants to make money. And I'm going like, what is this? He goes, oh, I don't know. I just want to make money. I go, what sort of money? He goes, real money. I said, what's real money? And he's going, I want to learn to trade online, and I want to own property. And I was like, okay, we can learn together, because I didn't know how to do those things. So he really challenged me to take things beyond what my current understanding, beyond where I was raised. So he ran a workshop when he was 11, bridging the gap between fathers and sons at Arsenal. And he's always been about the dynamics of interaction. Why do people do things the way they do? So he's very calculating, and he uses mathematics to play football. So I was like, you're just beyond what I understand. So I realized I had to surround him with different people to help nurture that, because I wouldn't have been able to feed everything that he had. I did what I could when he was younger, but he's just taken it to a whole new level.
Wow, you've had a real learning journey through your children, haven't you? I always thought it was us who were supposed to teach our kids anything, but actually that's what I realized, is that, you know, so I'm now a grandmother, would you believe it? I know. So it's like, you know, this little girl is going to teach me. She knows more than me. You know, she's more consciously aware. And as she's grown up, it's us as older ones. We are learning off the children, but we all think it's the other way around. And so that's where the frustrations come from the young ones, because they're just going, actually, I know more than you, but we tell them that, no, you don't. And I love how you've been just working around that, going, well, I don't know how to think like that, so you show me. Wow. It's just
On,
awesome.
hit the nail on the head. And I learned the hard way, but it's like kids do need discipline, they do need boundaries, but the whole essence of who they're going to become, we don't have any right to kind of live our lives through them, the things that we've unfinished, to say, oh guys, put this backpack on and put this in and load it up with bricks. It's like, why are you here? What's your superhero skills? They will tell you. Like, how do we solve this problem? They will tell you. Ask questions, they will tell you.
Wow. Oh my God, I love that. I loved your energy when you said that. So, and Yasmine is all about gratitude and forgiveness. I think is this all your journey here, Sabrina? This is nothing to do with your children. These are all, this is like, I'm ticking the boxes from how thoughts become things here.
Tell me about it. Tell me about it. So yeah, Yasmine is the child that came into our lives and just humbled us. So I was having a lot of turbulence with my marriage. And I remember her sitting on the stairs, maybe about 3 years old, and she looked into my eyes and she said, Mummy, all you need to do is pour love into Daddy and one day he will change. I was like,
oh my God, I just got the shivers on that.
Yeah, exactly. Like, imagine like you being the mum. Like, it's like, I've always been someone that's very forgiving, and I was just like end of my tether and thinking like, this is not right, I can't go through this. But she touched my heart in such a way, and she would always say these little phrases, these little sentences, and she would write these little angel letters, she called it. So she would be in the street randomly with a notepad and she would give people these letters. And one time this woman burst out crying, and I was like, oh, okay, what did you do? And this woman, she said, no, she didn't do nothing. And she gave me a message that I needed to know. And she said, it's only God that would have told her that, because there is no way a child could know. So she would write these random messages. And every time she meets people, she has these very spiritual moments. And there's a lady called Sam Livermore. I'm going to ask her to tag in the post, the picture in her front room. She's got one of the first letters that Yasmine did publicly at an event, love letters stand. And she was saying to love beyond your words, love beyond your spirit. You are, like, she was saying words that didn't make sense as a child. For me as an adult, I was like, where did you get this from? I remember saying to Sam, like, did you tell her to write this? Like, what is this? So she came through and she channeled, and this is a lot of what I do with families, is that our children are the answers to our ancestors' prayers, and they have so many sacred gifts, treasures, and you name it inside of them, but it's about the unlocking of, and that comes from trusting them and listening to them. So life wouldn't have been the same had I not given my children that space to talk. It was just phenomenal. Like, as a parent, I'm like, oh my God, I thought I was in charge. Like, what do I do with you?
I just love that, pour love into Daddy and heal. That's one of the things, like whenever I talk to people about relationships as well, because that's what we end up getting into. Everything's about a relationship, isn't it? Relationship with money, never mind. It's a relationship with yourself, initially. But if you want love, you've got to give love. And yet we think that by criticizing somebody to love us more, that actually it can work in the short term, but it certainly doesn't work in the long term. And so what a wonderful thing. And I actually had an absolute deja vu moment whenever you said about her living room and picture, and I just went, whoa, I've been there. It was just a weird, I've heard you say, it's like I've sat here and did this before. And so Paolo's all about, I'm still stuck on Yasmine actually, but there you go. Paolo's personal development.
Oh God. So Paolo. Paolo is that child. So
Paolo, at 11 years old as well, doing his own podcast. Yeah.
He was supposed to be the last child, and his brother came along. So he wanted to make sure that he was seen, remembered. And he would just be in the house, crashing, banging, flipping, taking things apart. And I'm like, whoa, where's this guy coming from? He shook my world. And he is the one that expands the boundaries in our family. He is the one that just says, is that the rules? We can break that. We can change it. We can take it apart and put it together. I'm sure we can discuss that, right? You will see him at events speaking to people that are like 3-4 times his age, and he's making deals and they've all just got their own special way of navigating in the world, and it blows my mind. And yeah, he's a bruiser boy. He's a bam bam. Have you ever seen the Flintstone movie? And you got
yes.
Bam bam. He's my bam bam boy. So they've all taught me so much, but Paolo teaches me to roar at life. He teaches me that, even when you're scared, roar back. Even when you're falling, roar back, and just keep roaring, keep going.
Roar at life. I absolutely love that. Oh my goodness. And then Amir, wow, 6 years old, and he's got his own podcast. Like, what is this about?
Oh, Amir is my little affirmation baby. He's the one that used to get on stage with us when I was going through my healing journey and starting to just creep out on stage. So we would get onto stage as a cluster, and he would stand there, and the mic would go around. They'll give it to him, and he would just smile and say, "My name's Amir." And he took me home. I really chose that word carefully. He took me home and said to me, "Why do I keep being put on stage? I've got nothing to say." And I said, "Well, you've got something to say, darling. Everyone has something to say." He said, "No." He said, "I don't have a brand." And I went, "What's that?" Like, I didn't realize. So he was 4 when he published his first book. So it's picture book and just affirmations that we use. And he just stopped me in my tracks, because number one, I didn't realize how much he was absorbing. The fact that he utilized the word, "I do not have a brand like my siblings. Can you create me one?" And I was like, "Oh, okay." It was like that moment when you go, I wasn't prepared for this. So he's my wild card. I didn't know I was pregnant with him. At the time I was separated with my husband, going through wars with my husband, but I had this baby inside of me that I never knew was there. So he's always the one that just like a wild card. So here he was, live TV when the book was finally published. So he's like the youngest unofficial male author in history. So very interesting in this. So we've been in conversations with Guinness Book of Records. He didn't sell the number of books you need to get, but he's actually the youngest male author that's been done. So I thought that was really interesting. So here we are on live TV doing an interview, and I'm going, "Oh yeah, Amir." So Amir is very finicky. All about rules, structure. You said this, and you need to not bend from that. So here he was, live TV, and I said, "Oh yeah, well, Amir wanted to do it, Mummy. You know that I chose that myself, and I done that." And I'm like, "Yeah, okay, man." So he's this old soul that always corrects us. He knows what he wants to say. Don't put words into his mouth. And when people say, "Did you do this, Amir?" "Of course I did." "What can you do?" He asks these poignant questions, and he uses these big words, and I'm just like, where on earth did you come from? Like, where are you?
I just love how you talk about your children. It's just absolutely amazing. And so, what is it with Sabrina? So, what's Sabrina got to show the world? Never mind her children. Like, it's not as if that's not enough. You've like created a whole movie set there. To be honest, you know.
So Sabrina was someone that took a long time to find her voice. You know, I pretty much went on the journey the same time as my children did, and then they took the lead and I learned from them. So I've always been the person that was bullied, taken advantage of. So it was always a lot of pain, and through that pain I learned lessons, and through that pain it influenced me and how I was going to start sharing my message with the world. But I felt for a very long time in my life I was a cage bird in many respects. I stayed in relationships longer than I needed to. I was taken advantage of. I was always the underdog and fighting for the ones that didn't have voices, but I was always wanting to be saved on the inside. I was always looking for, I wonder when someone's going to come along and pick me. I was kind of born into this family where my father's Nigerian, my mother's St. Lucian, and they just both hated me because of that mix. I don't know if you know, there's this whole West Indian and African issue. So I was born into this essence of not being rejected from birth. And I grew up with a lot of lack of self-worth, lack of self-confidence. And it took me many years to heal Sabrina. It took me many years to acknowledge who I am, where I was going. And out of that rebirthing of me, I came up with 2 separate products because, yes, I'm a mum, but I realized that as women, we tend to be everything to everyone, but who are we to ourselves? So I created Shift Happens. And that's all about me coaching people individually. And then I've got my mum's hat, which is the Dream Big Together. So as a family, we operate individually, but then we come together as a complete ecosystem that works together.
Wow, absolutely awesome. Absolutely awesome. And what we're doing is, and I've pushed you, you know, been prodding the speakers, they will be in touch with you very soon. And so for everybody who's watching, you know, Sabrina's going to be interviewing some of the cast from How Thoughts Become Things, because that is really, God, you're just literally a living example of that, you know, how thoughts become things, and then how your children are that as well, you know, and that how we can take something that whenever it's not so good, because like I said to you before, we didn't just land here perfect. Well, we are perfect. We're perfect for ourselves, but we have things to get out of the way to find our perfectness, because we've got these programs, people have told us stuff, you know, we've felt stuff that people didn't like, is whatever it is that we've actually gone through. If we can just get that rubbish out of the way, we start to rise, don't we? And that's,
the lines. No, I like that.
And that's it. And rising, we try to force ourselves to rise, we try to force ourselves to grow. And I just see this, relaxed person in you, is just like, oh, and I've allowed my kids to be, and you talk about it like as if it's been an easy journey. I know it's not been an easy journey, 19 years, and all those different personalities going on in your house, and you can still look so beautiful at the end. It's just absolutely awesome. So I'm going to put, for everybody watching, I'm going to put the podcasts underneath, and I'm going to be listening in. I really want to listen into a 6-year-old do a podcast like that's just absolutely awesome. But yeah, Sabrina will be tagged into this as well. So feel free to reach out to her and look out. Oops, Daisy, my computer's doing something silly here. So reach out to her, and if you want to have another chat with her, but look out for her interviews as well with the cast of How Thoughts Become Things. And I'll put the link up for that up there as well. So don't you go anywhere, Sabrina. I'm just going to say goodbye to everybody else. So goodbye from me.
Thank you.